Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're based, and welcome to this short session. Thank you for joining us. My name is Shaz. I'm a senior director at Neota. For those of you who are not aware of what we do, Neota is a no-code workflow automation platform for enterprise. And I'm joined by Carl Edwards, who is a VP of Global Sales at LOWCODEMINDS. Carl, do you want to quickly just introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Shaz. And again, thanks everybody for joining us today. Carl, LOWCODEMINDS, we are a global partner of Neota. Our work is specializing in about helping legal teams in both the private and enterprise sector adopt practical, flexible solutions. So every interaction from intake to delivery is better for the client and the business. Looking forward to having a conversation with you today, Shaz.
Fantastic. Um, just to kind of like kick us off and start there, give us some context. My background is in law. I was a practicing lawyer in a previous life, and then moved over to the legal technology space. And I think we want to talk about those two, the interaction between those two sets of experiences, because that's going to shape a lot of what we talk about. We're not just going to focus on the technology. We want to focus on the practice of law and how we can think about improving and rethinking the practice of law. So to that end, we're going to focus on three sort of main outcomes. Firstly, repositioning legal as a business enabler, and taking away this sort of perception of legal of being a bottleneck. Secondly, trying to provide you some pragmatic strategies to scale legal operations without having to, increase costs, but be able to use your resources to deliver more and better for the business. And then thirdly, understanding how you can enable change within the organization, digital change or, cultural change without becoming dependent on, other contingencies, IT resources or whatever it might be in the organization.
As if I may, I think to the point of bottleneck, right? I think when we think about legal and legal operations, too often the perception is one of of a cost center within the business, when the truth is legal can be one of the most powerful business enablers. If we can remove that operational friction that slows everything down, right? Because we're in a world now where volume and complexity of legal work is always increasing. Budgets certainly aren't getting any bigger. And I think, the leadership is really asking legal to step up and match the speed and agility of other areas of the business where they're adopting new technology, where AI is being rolled out, right? So this is really about different ways of working combined with technology that can be real game changers for our clients.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's, there is all of that pressure. And it's, not a surprise that legal teams struggle, feel stretched, feel that they're reactive to requests from the organization. And it's not due to a lack of competence, obviously, but it's due to a structural problem. And there's a few forms that can take. This is just a quick selection of some of those things. Fragmented intake channels, picking up requests by email, on the phone, in hallways when you're speaking to people. It obscures the processes that should exist. It makes prioritization very difficult. Repetitive work that becomes the sort of core body of work that a lawyer does in the day, low value NDA or contract generation work or basic guidance that could be self-service that consumes a lot of resource a lot of the time in legal organizations. And thirdly, wanting to change, wanting to be digital, but having to rely on IT to make even minor improvements to technology solutions.
I think, yeah, I mean, if you look at the impact that each of those areas have, Shaz, right, you get contracts being stalled and therefore you get delays in revenue. The risk increases because often people try and bypass the process
Yeah,
and stakeholders are frustrated, right, because they're not getting visibility or quick answers to questions within the organization. So yeah, it's a very challenging environment that legal teams have to navigate and support today.
absolutely. And all of that combines to essentially, unfairly, of course, reduce legal's credibility as a strategic partner to the business, which is what it should be seen as and what it really is at its core. So, really what this is about is trying to frame a few practical strategies for legal operations and legal teams to respond to some of these challenges. Um, Again, these are just what we've come across in our experience and in our time working with legal teams that we find are good low-hanging fruit, good places to start. Firstly, establishing a front door, creating a single point of intake, a point of triage, an ability to actually assess requests for legal time on their merits and be able to prioritize those and assign them to the relevant people. Secondly, thinking about how to systematically reduce repetitive work effort, through automation, for example, so using a platform like Neota or others to automate documents, automate the delivering of advice, automate workflows, approval or review workflows that might exist within an organization. It's also pretty easy to measure because you can just look at the time being spent before and after. Thirdly, building these modular workflows that legal teams can control, legal teams can iterate on, and legal teams can actually, handle and own, not without having to rely on IT. And fourthly, leveraging data, operational data, to inform resourcing, to inform prioritization, to inform how do we continue improving and how do we keep making the case to the organization that legal is a strategic partner.
I think all of those combined, I mean, particularly the leverage data point, Shaz, right? If you use analytics appropriately, you're going to spot those bottlenecks and challenges within the business. You get prediction around demand. And that important point, you get to demonstrate to the C-suite that, you're having real business impact from a legal standpoint. I think that's what a lot of organizations are lacking right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've made this point a couple of times, and of course, doesn't apply to every organization, but from the conversations that I've had, there can be constraints around digital and IT. It requires a capacity to act without excessive technical dependence, and there are ways to achieve that outcome. Low and no code tools is one way of doing that. Neota is a low code, no code platform. But the important thing is not the platform, it's not the tool that you use, it's how is it seen? Is it seen as just a technology tool, or is it seen as an extension, a business capability, something that you can use to be autonomous as a legal team? Having that and having that kind of, that mindset of this is something that's going to enable the legal function to be a better part of the business. It means that the legal team can build, it can deploy, it can refine solutions and workflows directly, accelerating change, reducing backlogs, but also iterating and improving their services over time.
I think the key thing there, right, we know there's a lot of pipeline build up within IT, within organizations, right? This is about putting control back in the hands of the legal team themselves, and equally making sure that they and the rest of the organization can stay within, I would say, governance boundaries. Shaz.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's just to think about it visually. I mean, what you're doing is you're just taking components. This is just, some examples of things that you can do with a platform. Well, specifically here with the Neota platform, but you could take components, functional components, document verification, advice delivery, risk assessment, etc. You can string them together into the workflow that fits the organization, fits the business and how the organization works, and build fully capable workflows that cross departments, cross teams, and tie in all the different personas in the business that are relevant to a particular piece of work product being completed. I want to quickly just refer to an example of that. And we've been working with LOWCODEMINDS on a solution called Neo Legal, which is really it's just a legal front door, an ability to collect legal requests, whatever that might look like, and to operate multiple different workflows depending on what the request is. Building out, different flows, whether it's a new sales contract, an NDA, a piece of advice that's needed, a solution that can kind of allow you to encapsulate all of that in a single point of entry. And you can have dashboards to manage work, to assign work. You can have entire workflows of contract workflows, generation and negotiation, execution, storage and signing, and dashboards for management of those contracts as well. So just a kind of like an example of what that might look like in reality. But truly, the key point here is it's not just about the technology, it's not just about the tools that you use, it's about having a different operational mindset when trying to, improve the service delivery, going from a reactive model to a proactive model. The service desk kind of mentality of we just are inundated all the time with requests from different departments, and we just have to be reactive. But being able to anticipate that demand, to reduce the process uncertainty, to know where the requests are coming from, and then offer scalable support, that means that you can start to shift into a more of a proactive model.
I like the service desk analogy, Shaz, because our clients are constantly firefighting, right? And you talked about the shift to becoming a proactive business partner, if you will, right? I think we've got to standardize, and we've got to standardize before you automate. So cleaning up processes and templates first. enabling self-service. Let the business handle the simple stuff, right, themselves, while the legal teams focus on the more complex work, the work that's going to drive change and revenue. And be agile in change. The adoption of workflows can be done in days or weeks, not months. This is not a complex rollout of a new application or a new way of working. You know, the adoption right now is really curing the chaos, right? Multiple channels, long IT queues, no clear metrics. I mean, the after is, you said that one front door, proactive service design, measurable KPIs, and the ability to adapt quickly. That's what most legal organizations, most legal teams desperately need right now in today's market.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's, especially in a world that we live in now, the AI enabled world, it's easy to think we just get the right technology, we solve our problems. But really, it's not about the technology. It's about, applying these core principles that you're talking about first. There's no point trying to apply technology to a broken process. There's no point trying to apply technology to work that could be made self-service by the business. So, thinking about these things as a precursor to getting the right technology in place is important. And it's something that, like, people like myself and Carl can think about, often think about, and can help with. And so going through to kind of like a new model here, how do you prove the success of these things? I mean, it can be difficult as a legal team because there is no clear, if you work in a sales department, it's clear by revenue, for example, that you can measure the success of a sales function. Not so easy with legal. It's difficult to kind of like find those metrics and be able to present those metrics to the executive. But it can become measurable. And you can measure it by what it looked like before and what it can look like, after. The before state is characterized by these fragmented channels, opaque workloads. Some people are busy and some people are not. Constantly firefighting, long lead times, long contract cycles, long IT queues, etc. And eventually, being able to apply some of these principles, getting to a place where there is a single channel for entry, a front door, a proactive kind of service model, delivering service through a designed kind of exercise, measuring core KPIs, whether that be deal cycles, whether that be satisfaction, whether that be time spent on certain projects. That are things that those are things that can be clearly measured.
Yeah, and that legal front door, that foundation, Shaz, right, is really about, having a digital glass. We're not talking here about replacing every single system that the company's invested in. This is about having a digital visibility into your CLM, into your SharePoint, into your emails, into the exchanges. So we've got one holistic view across the business, and that's often what teams are really lacking is that real understanding of what are we working on, how important is it, what are the priorities, where are we in driving things to closure.
Yeah, it's so critical to have that to get that insight. And when you get to a point where you have that single channel and you have that front door, then you finally get to be able to see into the way that the organization is operating. And look, the business impact is so clear. I mean, if you can achieve faster time to contract, then you can directly make cases that you're accelerating revenue for the organization. If you can standardize workflows and you can reduce legal risk in documentation and contracting, it's clear that you're reducing that risk and you can you can have more company alignment. If you can increase the visibility and the reporting of data, then it becomes clear that there's a business case for, easier legal investment because you can present a compelling case for that investment to the executive of the organization. So that's, hopefully that's kind of given you a bit of an idea about what to focus on, I suppose, when we start thinking about improving legal workflows. Three key messages that I think we just want to wrap up with. One, scaling the operational function of legal is not really primarily about technology. It's an important component, but there are things that come first, and it's really about redesigning and rethinking that operating model. You need to have strategic partners. You need to have a strategic, approach to this so that you can apply technology judiciously at the right time. Front doors are low-hanging fruits. It's an easy way to deliver some value quickly. It's less risky than going out and finding, some cutting-edge tool that is unclear on what value it provide. It's going to provide value, and having that front door is the foundation essentially for having that digital glass that you mentioned, Carl, having that visibility into the organization and having that control over the work that's getting done. And then finally, thinking about low code, no code platforms as a enabler of innovation, an enabler of agility, an extension of the business capabilities. and giving legal teams ownership over their own technology. Being able to maintain, own, and improve those solutions without having to wait on different parts of the business.
I mean, I think the key thing there, I mean, the self-sufficiency is a key point for me, stands with new technology adoption, but ultimately think about the impact, right? You're going to deliver faster. Importantly, very important for legal teams, you're going to reduce risk. And measurably, it's a better experience for everybody involved. It's a better experience for the teams internally. It's ultimately a better experience for the clients externally you're engaging with. Things will be faster, things will be clearer, people will understand where they are in the process. The end-to-end experience will be significantly better for everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you. That kind of wraps up what we wanted to talk about. I mean, we have a few questions, but what we want to kind of wrap this as a sort of neat webinar, and we'll pick up the questions following, and we reach out to those who've asked questions to answer those. But thank you for your time today. We'd be very happy to share more details. We'd be happy to talk about neo-legal. We'd be happy to talk more generally about how you can change the legal operating model offline. So have a great rest of your days, and we look forward to speaking to all of you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Shaz, for having us. Really appreciate talking with you today.
No problem at all. Thanks.
Thanks.